Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Universe, and this is the Blue Dragon Actual YouTube channel. So today we are going to talk about the difference between the Prepare Actuary and the Proper Actuary, the mindset, and as a fresher, how you can adopt the correct mindset and how you can get away from the wrong mindset, right? Because if you want to grow in life, if you want to grow in actuary, if you want to make money, then this is the proper mindset because 99% people will just be average. If you have seen the normal curve, that's the hump, right? The hump, although in normal curve 66 or 68% people lies in the hump, but that is average, right? That is why there is more frequency there. So that is why the reason normal curve is called normal curve, because anything in life can fall into normal curve, and that is the reason it is called normal curve. So all your actual peers or friends would also be falling under that normal curve, where they will fall under that peak region. So 99%, or maybe in this case even 70%, will never be proper actuary. Only maybe 3% or 2%, those the tails in the normal curve, that is where you will be a proper actuary, right? That is where you will be an exceptional actuary. So what it takes to be a proper actuary, and what are the things that you should run away from. And trust me, this is a, I would call it a, this is a revolutionary video. If you see this video, then there are many things that you learn from this video. And yeah, I mean, it can change your mindset. It's a thought provoking video, and you don't have to accept this, but I just want you to question this, right? And if you see that whatever I am saying, you are agreeing with that, then follow that path. If you don't agree with that, then follow the other path, right? Nobody knows for certain what works and what does not work. What works today might not work tomorrow, but you need the ability to question, right? So let's move on. First is the difference between paper and proper actuary, right? So we are going to see the difference. Uh, the paper actually follows what the coaching center says, and proper actually, like I just mentioned, question what the coaching center says. Now, if coaching center can say that, come to us, we are the best educator, they many people have passed, and you might go there. But then what you have to question is how many people of those are working in a proper, maybe in a job, because actually is a professional qualification. You need a job to be an actuary, and you need a job to understand what is written in the paper. If they can't do that, if they can't provide that, then you are maybe going in the wrong direction, right? So you always have to question that. Many coaching center will say that a qualified fellow will earn 1 crore, and I have made multiple videos on that why actual fellows are not crore-patis. Even last week I made that video, so you can see that video and you can understand why actual fellows these days are not crore-patis, and in future that is only going to deteriorate, right? If today the fellows are getting somewhere between 25 to 30 lakhs, 5 year down the line they are going to get 15 to 20 lakhs. So that is only going to get deteriorate. Only few people, like those who have the proper actuary mindset, they are going to get to that higher package, but rest would not, because the supply is increasing, and there are many points that I've covered in that video. Moving on, treat exam as normal school exam, paper actuary, and proper actuary will treat exam as a knowledge gathering exercise. And this is very normal, and it is kind of ingrained in our upbringing. From our school days, the education in India is as such that we have to score good marks, good ranks, and because there is so much of competition, the population of India is huge and it is only increasing. Now we are the largest populated, I think, largest populated state in the world. If we have not, I don't know if we have surpassed China, but I think we have surpassed China. There was a news on that. Even if we have not surpassed China, then we are the second one, right? Second largest state in terms of population. So that is why there is too much of competition, and that's why we treat exams. Every exam is competitive for us, and unfortunately, that is the case, right? That we have to live with. But problem is, actually, is a professional exam. If you treat this as a normal school exam where you will go cram up, patterns, and then you will write answers and you pass the exam, then you are doing a great disservice to yourself and also to the actual profession. And proper actuary will treat exams as knowledge gathering exercise. That is why you will not see a proper actuary write too many papers. You will see a paper actuary writing 3 papers, 4 papers, right? And then show up that in social media if they pass those papers. But a proper actuary will treat this as knowledge gathering exercise. Knowledge gathering will take time. I remember when I was in class 7, and it's a very funny incident, but I think I can share that here, because the situation is such, the context is such. So I mentioned that, and before class 6 I was not a good student. In fact, I was kind of thrown off of my own house because I was not good. But then there was a lot of story behind that. And yeah, I not today is not the right day to tell that story. But when I went to class 7, then I scored good marks from class 6. It was a huge leap from my class 6 marks. And uh, I, I I saw Newton laws of motion, and I straight away said to the teacher that Newton laws of motion is not correct. It's wrong. I think Newton laws of motion need to be changed. And my teacher asked me, "Do you think you know more than Newton? And you believe who have recently, did some scored some good marks? You believe that you know more than Newton?" And I was not correct, obviously, right? But in order to prove Newton wrong, I read so many books. I went to the library, school library. I went so many books. I went through so many books, and my knowledge increased exponentially. Did that translate into marks? No, it didn't. But it did translate into marks, or maybe logical thought process later point of time when I actually scored 100 out of 100 in maths. I can say a lot of that thought process, how to approach a problem, came from when I said that Newton is wrong. But the problem is our education system is such, when you say something like this, people will laugh at you. You'll be a laughing stock, and that's why you always want to follow the majority. Like, why someone else is not doing that? Why should I do that? And you always try to follow the majority. In doing that, you become average, right? But when you question things like this, you have to go through so many things to prove Newton wrong, right? And you learn so many things in the process. So that is why knowledge gathering will always be a slow process. But if you think of exam passing, exam clearing, that will always be a fast process, right? So people who want to study actually, they would not take more than two papers, or I think one paper is sufficient, because then you will go through the length and breadth of that paper. You will not figure out how to clear the paper. You will figure out how to gather more knowledge, right? What extra can I learn? Like CM2 have stochastic calculus. I can tell you many coaching center people who are teaching stochastic calculus do not understand a thing about normal calculus. How can they teach you stochastic calculus? It's a very difficult intricate concept, stochastic calculus. And once again, those concepts are not used in real life, right? Brownian motion not used in stock market at all. But stock market do follow Brownian motion. So all of this thing, where something is practical, where something is not practical, even if it is not practical, is it helping you in some way? So you have to treat exams as a knowledge gathering exercise, so that you can understand the basics, and then you can work on the adaptations of those basics. But usually paper actually treat normal exam as normal school exam. Moving on, can't pass exam without coaching center. The dependent mindset, right? A few days back in my Instagram, page, someone asked me, said, "Do you provide coaching for CM1 and CS1?" So we are in the process, like that we are going through some administrative hassles, and we are creating and webs like we already have a website, but we are creating the administrative structure, the corporate process, etc. So we will take some time to come with further courses, and we have not publicized about that as well, right? So I mentioned that, yeah, I am planning for that, but that is not something for soon time. I mean, may not be in and that question come in January. So I mentioned that that is not for April or May. That might be for the next diet, or maybe for the next year, because I have to produce a quality content. If I don't produce a quality content, what is the difference between me and others, right? And that person told me, okay, then I don't know how I can pass the exam. I was hoping that you would have something. So that person was completely dependent on me. And that is not the way to be an actuary, especially in a course like actuary. If that is your thought process, that without coaching center you cannot pass an exam, then you already are a below average, or I don't know what. You should not be an actuary. Then you should not be an actuary. Self study is the best study, and you should always see coaching center as an enabler. That goes for my courses as well, right? You should study on your own. And whenever you are, suppose you study a chapter, like we have higher papers like SP2, SS7. So suppose you are studying a chapter from SS7. After studying the chapter, you have some thought process. But I have cleared that chapter, I have cleared that paper, I work in the practical field, right? So I can relate the bookish concept with the practical concept. And that is what you should look at, right? That is where you should purchase a course from someone if that person is practical workers. Otherwise it's just bookish knowledge, right? You can, a sincere student can pick that up, but what a sincere student cannot pick up is the practical knowledge, and that is why you should purchase course. So once you read through a chapter, right, then you should go into a course and see what that person is saying. There are some doubts that I have in this area. Is that doubt are those doubts cleared? And if those doubts are not cleared, if you still have doubts, there should be some doubt clearing sessions taken by that person, so that you can connect with that person and understand, right? And that person would also uh, grow a lot in clearing your doubts, right? So you should see a coaching center, actual coaching center, or maybe whatever trading, you should see those as an enabler, not as a substitute of your book or of your self study. So a person saying that I can't pass exam without coaching center, the dependent mindset, is not fit to be an actuary, especially any professional certification. That person is not fit to be that, right? You should always teach coaching center as an enabler, not as a substitute. Moving on, and that's why paper actuaries are interested in solving questions which is already outdated. I have already given an example. In CT5 or CM1, you are solving, or you are calculating the value of reserves and premium based on annuity factor, assurance factor. In real life you don't use that, right? That is a worthless knowledge that you are having. We use something called recursive method, and there are multiple ways you can do that. When I'll be coming out with Sparkle one, one of the main topic would be how to calculate reserve, right? Real life calculation of reserve, and that is the thing that is done in actual software, right? And for general insurance business, that is much easier because the time period is much smaller. Usually general insurance is short term business, but for life insurance, that is where the difficult part is. The time period is much longer, and that is why you can't kind of so you can understand, like, if you are very pro in solving questions, right? You like solving questions in actuary, then you are learning something that is not needed for succeeding in real life, right? So that is already an outdated knowledge. So what you should be focused on is, like I mentioned, knowledge gathering. Knowledge gathering is a slow process, and that is why you have to move slow in actually. Once again, institute will publicize, or maybe a coaching center will publicize, someone has cleared all exams in first attempt, someone has cleared maybe actually in 3 years or 5 years, right? But that does not matter. What matters is that person valuable to a company? That person might have done all of that, but that person is unemployable, or that person is getting a rating of 0 or 1, then that all of those does not matter, right? So what matters is if you can solve problems. If you can solve problems, if you can relate the knowledge that is given in the books of actuary with the contemporary problem solving, or the contemporary questions, then only you would be a proper actuary, right? So that is the, so I believe that you have an idea what is the mindset of a paper actuary now. Paper actuaries are average people who does what everyone else does. Proper actuary questions those, and in some time they will do something what everyone does. Sometime they will do something what no one does, and that is what, that distinction will make you a better actuary. Moving on. Next is, find it very hard to study along with job, and this is something that I've seen from my the experience with freshers. Many people starts really early, 6 months before the exam, and then their life is only about exam. Then they also, even for people like CP2, CP3, they are studying for 6 months, which is, for me, for the lack of a better word, stupid. You should not be doing that. That paper is set for the purpose that you can model things quickly. If you are studying for that for 6 months, once again, you should not be in actuary, even if you're clearing the entire all the syllabus of actuary. So, and because of this dependent mindset, paper actuary cannot study with job, because they are spending 8 to 9 hours in job, because someone is paying you salary. Someone is not going to let you go easily, right? So without working, you cannot get salary, and then they would choose companies where there is not that much of pressure. Many of the pension companies are like that, unfortunately. So there you clear papers, and that's why you see most of the coaching center people are from pension companies, right? The reason is they cleared some paper, they thought, yeah, this is, I have no knowledge in actuary, right? They themselves understand that, but then they also realize that I have cleared papers, I can sell this, and they are doing some they are making some money out of it, right? So that's, I mean, credit to them, that is a good business mindset. But if you want to be good actuary, then that is not the way you should go. So I have seen 40% people find it very difficult to study along with job, and they give up on job or they give up on actuary, right? And they can do only one thing. That is because they are waiting for the coaching center to teach them, and they want someone to take live classes. So because of all of this thing, how can they manage time, right? They are spending their time in job, they are spending their time in seeing videos or whatever, going to a coaching center. Then how can you find time for self study, right? So that's why 40% people will drop out. And that is why proper actuary is different, because actuary is a course where you have to work along with your papers. So that's why self study is very important. Like I mentioned, self study, you should teach, you should treat everything as an enabler, right? A coaching center material should be an enabler for you. And that is how my courses are designed, and my courses always will be designed. Maybe for the first paper, maybe for CM1, CS1, there you might need some guidance, live course, because because people are new, right? You don't know the actual mindset at that point of time. But then when you are bit experienced, you have cleared two papers, then also you need the same approach. Then once again you are unfit for actually, you should go to somewhere else. There you might do very well. But actually, with the the competition hitting up, especially in the fellow segment as well. Earlier there was a competition only at the fresher level, but now the competition is hitting up at fellow segment as well. You are not going to do much well, right? Moving on, gives too much importance to FII. And FII, I've mentioned this time and again, many people write their name as FII and FIA, and I have nothing against that. They can do that, but that means that they are giving too much importance to FIA and FIA. uh, I am a qualified actuary. I don't write my, my name is Arpan Sen Gupta. It does not have FIA Arpan Sen Gupta. The reason I don't do it is because I've done so many things other than, actuary. So why should I shorten the stature of my name by just adding this three word or four word? uh, I should be known for many other things rather than FIA, or maybe for that matter CA or whatever it is. So to me, it does not matter, right? It is a very small thing in my life, and I believe that I'll be doing much more bigger things than this. If you believe that this is the biggest achievement, go ahead with that. I have nothing against it, right? But I don't think you should give that much importance to designation, because if you give this much importance to designation, imagine one day the institute called and say you have cleared that paper, but we made some mistake, and actually you have not cleared the paper. What would happen to you, right? You'll think like committing suicide. So that is how people are impacted by designations. You should be indifferent towards this, right? It does not matter. When I cleared my SS7 paper, does not matter whether I cleared it or not, because even before that I was earning the same salary. Even after that, I was earning the same salary. Nothing changed, right? So it does not matter. I'm still writing essay 2 because I have work of more than 12 years now on life insurance, and I am still not able to clear it. So that is a challenge for me. But and that is something I have to figure that out, right? But even after clearing SA2, should I publicize that I have cleared SA2? Maybe for the coaching center part, that because I cannot teach SA2 until and unless I clear it, right? So that is something that is ethical, and I would like to follow that. But other than that, I don't think there is any importance, by clearing SA2, because I have done well. I have got to a level. I am heading my team. I don't need to prove anything to anyone, right? If I would be bad, then that would be shown in my my CV, my resume, right? If I am good, then that is shown in my CV, or whatever earnings I'm making, or whatever it is, right? Or what designation in job I have reached, right? So if you have to give designation importance to designation, maybe give importance to the designation that you get in job, right? If you are a qualified actuary and working as a senior analyst or analyst, then in any case the company does not value your designation, right? So that is the practical thing, right? And also will not be impacted by the marketing. The obviously the institute will project a fellowship. They will create different certifications, certificate of actual technique, partially qualified actuary, half qualified actuary, half baked actuary, and I don't know what sort of designation they are going to create. So if you are impacted by this marketing, then you are going to fall right in their trap. If you are not being impacted by this marketing, then you have a different mindset and you will not fall into that trap, and you will be indifferent towards resignation, which ideally should be, as per me, right? I don't have any, once again, I don't have anything against someone writing this in their name. Many of my friends do, right? But I believe that for them, they are not, uh, they have reached a stage and they're happy with that. For me, I want to do much bigger things in life. Yeah, this is one of the enabler. People will trust me because I've got to this level. Very few people can reach this level. So I have reached that level. That means that I've done something, right? And I'll be I've shown that I could do something, I could achieve something, right? So they can trust me with something else as well. That is the importance this designation or this degree have for me. Other than that, it's pretty much useless. My knowledge before SS7, my knowledge after SS7 is same. I would say my knowledge after SS7 is much higher because I have got 3 months or 2.5 months to improve on my trading skill. So I think practical work far, far surpasses the bookish knowledge, especially in finance field. Moving on, ignores the alternative domain. Alternative domain means if you are an actuary, probably you are working on the liability side and you do not have any knowledge about the asset side, or you do not have any knowledge on coding, right? You can be an editor of code, but you cannot be a creator of code. So you have to learn this alternative domain slowly, not at the start. As a fresher, you need not probably not do it. You might only consider CM1 as CS1 at this stage, but then when you are done with those papers, start focusing on the alternate field. Take out maybe the annual report of an insurance company and see if you can understand what is written there. If you can't understand, then first of all, your first recognition would be that, yeah, the bookish knowledge is not enough, right? So then that is your first learning. Second, you need to understand, yeah, this is written, can I Google it and understand what is written? If you can't understand, then you need to understand that, yeah, you need more knowledge, right? So because in the traditional corporate world, you will speak in that language. If you don't understand that language, you are not ready for that job. Or you might be better prepared if you understand those language, right? So you have to figure out other things that is required, maybe an coding related thing, certification or something else, right? Or the asset side of it. So you need to look at the alternative things so that you can see the bigger picture. Moving on, paper actually, because because of this mindset, because of the Indian education system, and this also come from the upbringing that I have seen. Most parents are like that. They are focused on the rank one, rank two, topper. That is what kind of marketed. So paper actually is interested in air one, and I've seen advertisement by coaching centers saying that this people has got air one coming from my, they are coming from my institute. Doesn't matter. Do you think I would hire for my team for a person who has got AIR1? If that person has knowledge, why not? But that AIR1 would not give me any relevance as such. Yeah, obviously that would mean that person have some knowledge, some degree of knowledge on that paper. But whether that person is good on, good only in paper or have some knowledge in real life, that has to be seen and that have to be evaluated in an interview. Otherwise, is it's just a useless degree, or once again useless designation that the institute markets, right? Now, proper actuary will be interested in the highest rated employee, because you will only be highest rated because only 10% or 5% people in the entire company will be highest rated, right? Very few people would get a rating of 6 out of 6 or 5 out of 5, 6 and 5 being the highest rated. So very few people will be reaching there. So that is much, much more difficult out of, than being an AIR1. That is because many people, can be AIR1 also. You might be competing with people who are in your domain, who are doing well in that domain, and to come out at top of all those top performing employees, that will take much more rigor, effort, and also some bit of luck, which is probably not required in being an AIR1 in a particular paper exam, once again, which is outdated, the knowledge of which is outdated. So proper actually, you should be interested in the highest rated employee. That would mean that your practical concept of knowledge is quite good, rather than being interested in AR1, right? So that is very, very important.